Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boot Camp Blueprint, the place where personal trainers go to grow your boot camp. I'm your host. My name's Jono from Fitness Education Online, and I'm super excited because we have a very special guest on this week, an absolute rock star in the fitness industry who I've been following for quite a few years now. This person here, he's the director of the Fit Shop, which is 2 studios down there in Victoria. They have over 400 members. He's got 6 trainers working for him. He's also a author of the book, How to Stop Thinking Fat. I recommend everyone get a copy of that. I'll show you how to do it and put a link in the show notes. And the reason why I've got Brad on, or why he's really caught my attention lately, is he's been nominated for the Australian Personal Trainer of the Year. Now, we all know how many personal trainers there are in Australia, so to get nominated for that award is something very, very special. But we'll chat about that in a sec. Let me introduce, without further ado, the one and only Mr. Brad Cunningham. Brad, how are you?
I am phenomenal, mate. Thank you for that.
No, I could have gone all day. I had to narrow down that bio, We could have done a whole podcast just reading out all your achievements there, so I summarized it. Hey, Brad, just before we get into it, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, everything's about growth. Everything's about progression and continually pushing myself outside of, my comfort zone, obviously. So, progress equals happiness, or if you're not growing, you're dying. Anything, around growth is really important to me. It's one of my biggest values, is constantly educating, constantly growing, constantly moving forward. So I'm trying to put that into one quote, but, it's all about growth and education and progress for me.
Love it. I'm a huge fan of growth myself, so I'm very happy you mentioned that. Now, Brad, what I'd like to talk about today, all of my listeners here would probably love to be nominated for that award, Australian PT of the Year. So what I was hoping you could do is share your journey. I think would be the best way. You can start it wherever you want to start it, whether it was, when you started in the industry or when you started the Fit Shop. You can start wherever you want to start. But if you could share the journey of Brad Cunningham and how he got nominated to be Australian Personal Trainer of the Year, and then we can stop at little points if there's any breakthroughs that we can then get into more detail on the listeners. Would that work with you?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Cool. I'll leave it to you.
So
start where you want to start.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how far back you want me to start. I suppose, getting started in the fitness industry is probably the first point. For me, I was working as a trainee at a high school, helping PE teachers and helping them run PE classes and excursions and that sort of stuff. It's kind of what I did not long after leaving school. And look, it was a pretty easy job, actually. I was sitting around doing not much for a while. So I decided to get qualified with my Cert 3 and 4 and did that whilst I was doing that job just because I had the spare time. And I nailed another traineeship at North Melbourne Recreation Centre when they were launching a gym there. I got a role as a trainee there, and I actually basically helped them set that gym up. And I think it was that point that really, gave me or spurred me to, pursue this career or pursue fitness business in this industry. Just that excitement of setting up a business and learning how to create the processes and the systems and all that sort of stuff. So that was kind of like my first taste of launching a business. Even though it was a council-run gym, I had a huge role in starting that up. So that was a really good experience. And then I worked there for a while, and long story short, my partner at the time, girlfriend who's now my wife, was looking for a job in Melbourne. She was living, so we're country kids. We grew up in Euroa. She was living back there still, and not a huge amount of opportunity back there. So she was looking for a job down here. And anyway, long story short, landed a receptionist job at a gym here in Bayside, Cheltenham, Melbourne. And was working there. And again, she was getting experience. It was a new business. She was learning how to create systems and processes and all this sort of stuff in the back end. And it got to a point where they actually needed a trainer. And I'd been going out to this gym and volunteering some time. And it got to a point where they needed a trainer, and they offered me a job. Now, I'd been volunteering my time on a Sunday for a few hours. We were living in the city. There was no trains going out to this facility on a Sunday. So I would get on my bike, ride out an hour or so, help out for a couple of hours, and then jump on a train, come home. And I did that for nothing for about 12 weeks, just for experience. And as a result, I got offered a job for doing that, which was great. So, you know, through all this time, I was always putting my hand up for things and trying to get experience doing different stuff. And, you know, I landed a job at this personal training studio where my wife was working, well, my girlfriend at the time was working. And so we worked there for a couple of years as employees. And I kind of, again, just putting my hand up, always taking initiative and wanting to get involved with things more. I took a big role or took the responsibility on in terms of their culture and contacting members and making sure people were coming to sessions, following people up. And we're running small, kind of like boot camp, like small group classes, small boot camps at this facility. And that was my role. And it kind of grew from there. And it got to a point where things were going well and we need to kind of expand the business a little bit. So we looked to buy a franchise business, boot camp franchise thing for America and bring it over. And so at that point, my wife and I, we were like, look, we want to get involved in this. You know, I was 19 at the time. She was 20. Like, we want to get involved. And so we spoke to the business owner at that time and said, look, we want to get involved in this. We want to be a business partner and, you know, so forth. So we scrounged up as much cash as we could, borrowed from friends and family and, you know, kind of got a bit of money together and invested into this guy's business. And we launched this boot camp thing back here. Anyway, that ran for about a year and it was getting a bit messy because it was like two businesses in one. So he was the guy's PT studio, which I worked for. And then we had the boot camp business, which we were all kind of working on. And so people would come in and they kind of wanted to do boot camp, but they kind of wanted to be doing PT and it's just getting a bit messy. So we kind of merged it all as one business and then opened up a second facility for boot camps, like a warehouse. And we're working as business partners for maybe 12 months, a bit more. Anyway, things started going a bit sour. The business partners had moved overseas and we're running the show and things just weren't working out, you know, and it was probably the best and worst, you know, experience that I've ever had, you know, in business, because at the time it sucked. Things didn't go well. You know, the relationship got really sour and we decided we're going to leave the business and go do our own thing. And we had to get a solicitor involved and all this sort of stuff. And our partner came back, lost it, you know, basically sent out a bunch of emails and things saying we'd stolen money and we'd done all this stuff. Like, it was just horrible. And we planned to go and do our own thing, but the building that we were doing boot camps from was under my wife's name. And so we had to keep that. And so we kind of, basically the guy came back, closed the doors, and then we kind of reopened and said, you know, we're running a business. And for about a month, we were no business. There was no business name. There was no nothing. We're just kind of waiting for the solicitor to give us the all clear to kind of relaunch a new business. And this guy left back overseas. And anyway, there's all these nasty emails and all this sort of stuff going on. There's a lot of drama. And, you know, when we decided to leave that business and go do our own thing, when we told the guy we're leaving, we literally had $50 in our account. We had no money. And we took a big risk in leaving that business. We were told by our real estate agent that we're going to get evicted from our house because we weren't paying rent, because part of the situation was we weren't getting any money from this business. So we were struggling, and that's part of the reason why we were going to leave. And, you know, so it was just a horrible, horrible time. But at the same time, it was the best thing that's happened to us because we learned so much about business in the quickest time. You know, at 19, 20, like, it's like, you know, going to bed going, how the fuck are we going to pay rent tomorrow? How the fuck are we going to pay staff tomorrow? How are we going to buy food tomorrow? You know, I remember we left the business and it was like a Wednesday and one of the members wanted to take us out for coffee. And I said to Carly, my wife, I said, shit, I hope they're shouting because we got no money. And it was, you know, it was just D-Day for a good month. And, but like I said, it was a phenomenal experience because we learned so much about business structures, how to, you know, partnerships and you know, the ins and outs of business that people sometimes can be in business for 40 years and not learn that stuff. So it was awesome. And so anyway, we got through that first sort of month. We started kind of getting our own members in and relaunching as the Fit Shop back in March 2013. And kind of got on our feet, and all that sort of drama, it kind of passed. And it was later that year, the November, December, we launched or opened the first phase of our Euroa facility, which was a 24-hour, no staff access gym. And that was kind of our first phase for that business. So we did that launched that in the December of that year. So it was a pretty busy year for us. And that was kind of our first, you know, sort of 12 months. It was, pretty full on, pretty eye-opening and scary and all those things at the same time. But like I said, it was phenomenal experience for us, because it's shaped who we are today and how we run our business today. So it's given us it gave us a really good perspective on how we want to do things. And if we were to engage in it, you know, with a business partner or something, it, you know, it gave us that experience as well. So we're really grateful for that. And look, the guy that we were working with and in partners with was great. He taught us so much about, you know, growth and business and things like that. It was just, he had his own stuff going on and things didn't work. The communication wasn't there and it broke apart, and these things happen. But so there's no regret there. There's no, that I haven't spoken to the guy, but, you know, I don't look back at that experience as a bad thing. And I appreciate it. So yeah, that was kind of our start in business. So the Fit Shop grew from there. And since then we've been growing every year. And, you know, like you mentioned before, we're at about 400 and something members across two locations. There's so many great things that have happened in that time. But yeah, I feel like I'm waffling on now. If there's something else that you
look, I'll
want to touch on.
I'll summarize a few key points there, then we'll move on. So I was jotting some notes. I love that story, by the way. So many takeaways there. So here's my, for anyone listening to this, here are my biggest takeaways from Brad's stories there. One of my favorite quotes, I actually don't know who came up with it, but I live my life by this quote. And it's essentially, do more than what you're paid for, and soon you'll get paid more for what you do. And that's essentially what Brad did there. It wasn't like, hey, I'm just going to sit back and do nothing until an opportunity comes up, and then I'm going to only do that opportunity once I'm paid what I'm worth. And hey, there's a place for that as well, right? Where you only get paid for what you work for, only get paid for what you worth. That's fine. But a lot of the time, to get ahead, you need to do a lot of these things. You've got to volunteer your time. You've got to, give something a crack that isn't going to be a guarantee. I think they're the two things there that what I see in a lot of people in general, but especially trainers, that will hold them back from getting ahead is they won't volunteer their time to start with to get ahead, which is what you need to do to get ahead. Or the second thing is they won't take a risk. They'll be like, oh, that could work, but there's no guarantee, so I'm not going to do it. And the thing with that sort of philosophy is the only guarantee there is that you're definitely not going to get ahead. If you give it a crack, okay, maybe you'll get ahead, maybe you won't. But if you don't get a crack, you're definitely not going to get ahead. So that was the first takeaway there. Do you agree with those, I guess, before we move on?
Yeah. And then, look, that's been one of my philosophies, I suppose, or values, is always, regardless of whether there's a financial benefit to it, is put yourself out there and try and say yes and do things and volunteer, because, the world's going to reciprocate that in some way. And for me, it's always happened. I've been offered a position, or, if opportunities pop up when you put yourself out there and provide value for people and look for win-win situations, right? So, and you're right, I'm trying to hire trainers and do these things, all the time. And it seems like so many people are just like, putting their hand out or sitting back waiting for things to happen. It's like, you're not going to get ahead. You've got to stick your nose out and give things a crack. Otherwise, at the end of the day, what's the worst thing that can happen? It stuffs up, right? And that's the thing with us in business. It's like, we'll just keep trying, keep taking risks, keep doing things. And hey, it might not work. Oh, well, we'll start again. But we're not going to get ahead if we sit back and wait.
100%. And another one of my favorite sayings is, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And I see that in your story as well there, Brad. The reason you're in now is every decision you've made, you've either won directly from it or it's been a learning experience. And that's enabled you to get you to where you are
Yeah.
today. So I love that. And then the other key thing there was the get out of the comfort zone. Now, you had a bit of you didn't really have a choice, right? You had $50 next to your name. So you had to get creative just to eat your next meal, right? But that's another one of my favorite sayings. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. And one of his sayings is, it's never a lack of resources, it's always a lack of resourcefulness. And if you see in Brad's story there, he had to get freaking resourceful. He had $50 next to his name and no food. So he's like, all right, what can I do to get resourceful? And that's obviously, that mindset has obviously continued along your career, because you've been in that position where you had to get resourceful, and now that's the stage where you're at now. It's not like, oh, I can't do this because I don't have the money, or I don't have the people, or I don't have the time. It's all right, cool. How can I get resourceful? Would you agree with that too?
How can we make it happen?
Exactly. Spot
100%.
on.
Yeah.
So that's another takeaway if you're listening to this, is do whatever you can to get out of your comfort zone, because that's what's going to help you get creative. And just always have that in your mind. Hey, it's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. So I love that there. Now, I'd love to transition a bit here, Brad. So we've got your story. We've got how you're at the fit shop now. You're quite successful as it is. Run me through a little bit about this award. How did that nomination come about? Do you put yourself forward? Do you have to show some sort of results? Do you have to show some clients' results? Run our listeners through how that works.
How it works, yeah. So I think Fitness Australia had put an email out or something about, nominations for this award, and we kind of saw it and went, oh, we'll put it out to our members, and if they want to vote for us, then cool. And we put all our put it to our members and said, hey, vote for our trainers, and so forth. And so all our trainers actually got nominated initially. So the members had filled out an application for us. And I think I got about 10 or so from our members, and getting the notifications and saying, you don't know who's nominated you initially. So we put it out to like 3,000 people on an email list. So anyway, got the nominations and thought, oh, look, I'll go through and I'll fill out the application. And I didn't really think much of it. And I clicked the application, and then it was like first page, second page, it just kept going. There's all these questions and all this criteria and stuff that they ask for, which is great, because they want to get an insight into who you are as a coach, what your philosophies are, what your values are, and how you sort of conduct yourself. And so there was loads of questions about your consultation process, about client results, about your values as a coach, as a business. And so I just spoke about what we do as a business. And a lot of what I spoke about was our culture and how we facilitate the family culture here, and why that makes us so different, and why me as a coach, how that makes me so different. So, from day one, from what I've always been about, I don't know if you've ever heard the book Raving Fans.
Yes.
So it's great book. And that whole series by
Ken Blanchard.
Now I've forgotten his name.
Is it Ken Blanchard? Who does
that? Kevin or Ken Blanchard. And anyway, so it's always about under promising and over delivering. And so that's kind of been our.
Did you see that, by the way? I use if you're listening to this, you don't see the audio. I actually need a whole heap of books to prop up my microphone. So I've got 5 of my best books here, and just the top of the list happened to be that Raving Fans. It's Ken Blanchard and Shelton Bowles.
Yeah.
Sorry
I
to
think
interrupt.
they've got a couple other books, the Go Giver and stuff as well, I think. But anyway, so that's one of our kind of underlying philosophies for our business. Is always about under promising and over delivering, creating a great experience. So, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money. I think I spent nearly 6 or 7 grand already this year in courses and education and, all sorts of things. And that's fantastic. And it creates a toolbox for me to help people But if I don't know how to deal with humans, if I don't know how to be empathetic, if I don't know how to build rapport, if I don't know how to care for someone, if I don't know how to create a great experience, it doesn't matter how well I can write a freaking program, or how well I can write a bootcamp plan or whatever it is. If people don't leave here feeling better than when they came in, then it doesn't matter. And so our business has always been about creating a third place for people. It's not home, it's not work, it's their third place they go to feel part of something, where they feel important, where they feel cared for and heard and validated. And that's what we try and create here is a place where they feel like somebody, because, you know, day to day it's chaos. They're stressed, they're dealing with work, they're dealing with family and kids, and everything's chaotic. Whereas when they come in here, we want some sort of structure, some sort of consistency in their experience, in everything from the moment they walk in the door, that it feels good. And then so they have a great experience here. And by default, they're going to enjoy being here. They're going to want to come back more often. So by default, they get the results. And that's where we can bring the tools in, the programming and the shiny stuff, I think so many trainers things get caught up being on, the equipment they're using, or the facility, or the education they have, the certificates they have on the wall, and they forget to be human and forget how to deal with humans and treat people with empathy and care and make them feel good. Because, like I said, if you can have all the education and information in the world, but if you can't apply it to a human, then it doesn't matter. So that's what I spoke about in my application, about how we do that, why that stuff's important to me. And one of the big things we follow is Tony Robbins. I knew I'd forget some
Which
things.
one?
Six.
Yes, human needs.
Human needs, right?
Yes.
So our business is about making sure that we're hitting those human needs in some way for each client, so they feel connected or loved. They have a sense of growth, a sense of certainty and variety and significance and all those things. We want to make sure that our business is meeting those needs for them in some way. Otherwise, they're going to search somewhere else for it. And me as a coach, I'm making sure that I'm hitting those things all the time with them as well, that I'm teaching them, that I'm making them feel significant, that, I'm creating variety, I'm creating certainty, I'm doing all those things. Because if I'm not hitting their needs in our business or in my sessions with them, then, like I said, they're gonna go somewhere else. So again, part of my application, I spoke about how we do that. And then, that was kind of the basis of where I came from with how the language and the angle I took with my application. And obviously they liked it because I think there was 1,500 people who actually filled out the application like I did. And so they chose the top 5 from that. So something I put in there, something I said, obviously they liked. So I had to share a couple of videos about some, like our consultation process and things like that, which was pretty easy for me because I've recorded a lot of it already for our staff and things. So I just shared some of those, which I think just gave a deeper understanding of why and how we do things. And then I got an email to say that, I've been nominated for the top 5. I think that was back in Jan. That was pretty exciting. And now it's just a waiting game. So find out.
From my point of view, I hope you win it because you're the only one I know in that top 5. But also, I know you're very, very good at what you do, especially hearing that story. So you've got my vote, you've got all my listeners' votes as well. So I'll be at Filex and I'll be posting all over the place on social. So if any of and I'll post photos of you as well. So if any of my listeners or followers see Brad, make sure to wish him luck. And I just want to expand on that a little bit there. So a few key takeaways from what Brad said there. My takeaway to listeners here is, number 1, I think you should apply next year regardless, because from the sounds of things, it's quite a grueling process anyway, and you're pretty good at it. Brad already had a lot of that stuff. But if you don't already have a lot of that stuff, it's probably a good way to have a look at how your business is going. And if you can't answer something, even start with the clients, right? if you can't get clients to nominate you, hey, you might have to be a bit better at your job. But even if you can get a heap of them, great. There's some new testimonials for you can use. And then as you're going through those questions, it's going to give you a chance to have a look at your business from the outside in. And if you can't nail some of those questions, hey, go and nail those questions. And you might not win the award, but you'll be a better trainer for it if you can then nail it the next year or whatever. And then also down to like the video process as well, where if you don't have a good video process to train staff, hey, this could be an opportunity for you to get it there and help springboard your business forward. So I recommend everyone listening to this apply for it. And if you're not from Australia, do whatever. Apply for the American one. Apply for the New Zealand one and do it. A few key points that Brad said there. I'll summarize it to 2. Brad works a lot on upskilling himself as a trainer, but also works on people skills as well, because you need both, right? And Brad just summarized it so well where, let me think how to put it. Okay, this is the way I explain it in a boot camp setting, right? I feel that retention comes down to 3 different things: how much somebody likes you, how much somebody likes everyone else in the group, and how much fun they have at the sessions. If you can hit all 3 of those things, no one's coming anywhere. No one's going anywhere, right? And if you can see there, your coaching skill as a trainer probably isn't in the top 3. You might not even be the best coach. Obviously, you want to be because you want to get your clients good results. But if you can hit those top 3 things there, that's what's going to keep clients coming. So important to work on those people skills there. And then once they're in and they're coming, okay, great. Now you've got the coaching skills to also get them good results. So I love that there. And I just want to expand. So I'm obviously a huge Tony Robbins fan as well. And I had a similar experience with my business. So I'm not sure if you know my story background, my background, Brad, or even some of my listeners might not know. I started off in the boot camp game, and I was working at a franchise. And there were 75 different locations at this franchise, and you were ranked based on your retention, 1 being the best, 75 being the worst. When I started, I was ranked 75. All right, I sucked as a boot camp instructor, to summarize. And then I started following Tony Robbins, and I actually used those exact 6 steps there, those exact human needs. If you're listening and you're not aware of it, you can probably Google it. Just Google Tony Robbins 6 essential human needs. Essentially what Tony says is humans have these 6 needs. And I think there's a stat where, or what Tony says is, if you can hit, I think it's even 4 out of the 6, people are addicted. Yeah, if you can hit 4 out of 6, that's an addiction. So if you can hit 4 of those things, people are going to be addicted to your business and not go anywhere. And I implemented those, and within 12 months, I actually came back as ranked number 1. So that was just from that same Tony Robbins strategies there. So I love hearing that. Yeah. How are you going for time, Brad? You got a few more minutes, or you got to head off?
Nah, I'm all good, buddy.
Good. Okay, cool. I just had one more question for you, and then we'll do a bit of a finish off. So we know your background. We know how you got to the award now. Just one question for anyone listening that's like, man, I'm running a boot camp and I only got 20 clients. This guy's got 400. How does he do it? If you could just summarize to, let's say, a marketing tactic now, because we've got a lot of your philosophies there. We know the Brad Cunningham philosophies. We can go through these. We can volunteer your time. You can put your hand up. You can work hard. You can get creative. You can be resourceful. You can learn your people skills. You can learn your coaching skills. You can consistently upskill. We've got all that philosophy there. If you had to give one sort of marketing tactic for someone to grow their business in the fitness industry, what would you give them?
I think it's definitely referrals. So, I mean, because if you can't spend thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, you've got to be able to utilize referrals. And there's a few ways you can obviously do that. You can just ask your clients, but they need to be having a great experience to want to refer people firstly. But then using human billboards, it's probably in our early days, this is probably one of the biggest successes that we had. And you want to be very smart with who you use as a human billboard. So we train a lot of mums, sort of middle-aged, 30 to 45-year-old mums, and they like to talk. They like to go for coffee. They like to get their hair done. They like to get their nails done. So we got a handful of members on board as human billboards. They don't pay anything, but the arrangement is that they just spread the love. They spread the buzz. They tell their clients about you, that, and as long as you're providing them with a great experience, of course, they're going to talk about it. So we had a couple of hairdressers, people like that. And so we train them for free. They got great results. Their clients were asking like, what are you doing? And obviously, you know, they're talking while they're doing their hair. And so that works really well for us. And we still do that occasionally now. And that's probably one of the best marketing tactics that we had early on. So again, this is where it comes in, you know, we spoke about before, is like, don't be worried about what's in your hand right now. Like that client might not be paying you right now, but the return on investment is huge. So look around your local area, look to go into a couple of businesses where your clients would visit and see if you can speak to the owner and get them on board and train them for nothing, offer them free training, and you know, build that relationship. And then it doesn't have to necessarily be something formal. I think, you know, there's probably two schools of thought there. Like, yes, you would formalize it and say, look, if you don't tell me how many, you don't get this many referrals, X, Y, Z, you know, the deal's off. But we keep it very casual, and it's worked for us. So, but you've got to have a good relationship with that person, and that's the key. That's probably the best thing that we've done. And then from there, it's things like 28-day challenges where we will offer members a free position in the challenge if they refer a friend. And we've had, you know, we've done that every year. We do 2 or 3 a year, and we can have 100 new people walk in the door for a month. And generally you'll convert sort of 40 or 50% of that. I found the last couple of years, the conversion's gone down a little bit, maybe 30 or 40% will sign up after that. But if we can get, you know, 20 members on and they refer, you know, one person each, there's 20 new people in, and you're going to get 30 or 40% stay on generally, as you know, being lenient on that number. But yeah, that's probably the best two things that we've used, low cost.
Love that. And I love both of those strategies. I've never done that 28-day challenge myself, but I love the philosophy behind it because it's just such a good way to get new members in for free. And I love the human billboard. So I learned that the hard way, actually, Brad. So I utilized that strategy, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go into, you know, some local hair salons and some local beauty salons and just, you know, leave some forms there and say to the hairdressers, hey, you know, just tell your clients to train with me. They can do it for free. I'll give them a 3-week trial. And I came back the next week to see how many people written their name down, and the form was in the trash can. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, maybe this doesn't sort of work. But then I realized, then I flipped it around, and I became good friends with a physiotherapist and a nutritionist and a hairdresser, actually, and started to train them. And then naturally they started to refer their clients. So that goes down to the connection side of things, where it's not just about asking someone to help you out, because they're probably not going to do it, right? It's got to, and it's even not about a financial thing. It's not even about, oh, okay, I'll train with Brad for free, so yeah, I'll just promote it so I train with him for free. They've got to actually like you, and they've got to actually like training there, and then it will come around. So I love that.
It needs to be genuine. Like, I don't know if I kind of expressed that enough then, but yeah, going in there and going, hey, I'm going to train you for free if you refer people. It's like, no, like, you build a relationship with someone. You know, like my wife was going to the hairdresser herself, paying for her haircut, and built the relationship that way, you know. Or you go to a physio and you build a relationship, and then over time, and then you say, hey, you come down and train with me for a little bit. Like, it just can naturally happen. But if you can get a handful of members on board like that, but yeah, walking into a hairdresser and going, hey, I've got a boot camp down the road, I'll train you for nothing. If you tell your clients about it, like, it's not going to work.
I tried. I'm telling you, I went the next week and it was in the trash can, the form.
Doesn't work. Yeah. But I think I didn't quite convey that the same way. But yeah, you're right. You've got to build that relationship.
Awesome. Well, hey, Brad, we're coming to the end of the podcast here. Couple questions I like to finish off with. You're obviously a mentor to a lot of people. Who are your mentors there, Brad? And we can go a few different ways. You can mention mentors you've had, courses you recommend, books you recommend, people to follow on social media. For any of my listeners, what recommendations have you got there? Mentors, books, podcasts, all three?
Oh, where do I start? Obviously, you got the big guns like Tony, and a lot of philosophies and principles around mindset and stuff I've got from him. A lot of what I put in my book was, you know, come from him. Man, there's so many things.
Let's give us
Then
one from each. What's your? So we'll take Tony
okay,
Robbins, the biggest influencer. If you could pick one book,
yeah.
you'd recommend my audience read.
For a business, I think Raving Fans is really good. Definitely, it's a simple read, super easy. The Go Giver would be the next one. Rich Dad Poor Dad was a huge turning point for me from a financial sense. I read that book and a month later sold my car. We just bought a Jeep, and then like this was years ago, bought a Jeep. I read that book. I'm like, what am I doing? And I sold the car the next month. So that was huge. What else? How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dan Carnegie. It's a good one. I've got a pile of them over here. So yeah, and then podcasts. I've been listening a lot lately to BPAC, Ben Pakulski podcasts, courses. I've been doing a lot of Muscle Nerds courses. These guys are phenomenal in terms of the level of detail and knowledge and information that they share. Luke Lehman, follow him, and Muscle Nerds. Those guys are fantastic. The next course I'm doing Coach Eugene's course in a couple of weeks, muscle mechanics. What else? Is that enough?
That's great. Plenty there.
One of my close friends and mentors, though, has been Craig Harper as well. He's been fantastic. Catch up with him occasionally, and I think my wife and I did a podcast with him as well about our story in business, which was pretty cool. So anyone, feel free to jump over and listen to that. But yeah, that's best I can in this space of time. I could keep going with books and things, but just continue reading.
Some classics there. And yourself, Brad, I'd love for my listeners to go and follow you. Is the best place your Instagram, I believe?
Yeah, it's probably the best one. Instagram or Facebook. Awesome. Definitely probably the easiest place to get hold of me. Yeah.
I'll read out the Instagram handle here because I'm following you. It's simply brad.cunningham_. So you can follow Brad there. Or if you want to follow The Fit Shop, there's also The Fit Shop. And are you cool with that, Brad? If any of my listeners are around Melbourne or around Euroa and they're like, you know what? Because that's what I recommend as well. A good place to learn. Yeah, you can read. Yeah, you can do courses. Go and visit someone who's already doing it. See what their facility is like and see how you're treated. Are you cool if any of my listeners pop in?
100%. Just reach out to me. So I'll make sure I'm here and not with clients. And yeah, I'm more than happy to have a chat and help out.
Awesome. And the best place to get your book, Brad?
Probably just on the website. So howtostopthinkingfat.com. It's a great book for clients as a gift. So I've got a handful of trainers that are members of our gym, and they often will give it as a gift to their clients because a lot of it is about the mindset around getting results. We know as coaches that, again, we can have all the tools and all the information, but sometimes clients just don't move from A to B. And a lot of it's what's going on between here. And this book it just gives them insights and a lot of thought-provoking and a lot of ideas and different perspectives on things and why they might be doing things, and just gives them a little bit of a nudge to kind of hopefully move in the right direction and get close to their goal. So it can really help clients. We give it to our clients when they first sign up as a gift. But even for trainers themselves, it might help them a little bit as well, and be able to communicate with their clients who might be stuck. So jump on. I'll post it anywhere, and you can just order it through my site. Otherwise, through iTunes, you can get it as we call it ebook.
Ebook. Oh, yep. Awesome.
Ebook.
All right, cool. Well, hey, I'm going to pick up a copy now because, I found that myself. You can give two people, the same program, the same diet advice. One person gets amazing results, one person doesn't. And a lot of the time, it's just a mindset thing. And it's the oldest saying in the world is you can only lead the horse one. You can only lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. But hey, if you can motivate that person to want to drink, then it's game on. So I'm super excited to read that book, and I recommend every trainer read it as well. And as Brad mentioned, it's probably a good book to give to your clients as well. So I love that. Brad, that's probably all we've got time for today. Is there anything I left out? Is there anything I forgot to ask that shouldn't have asked, or anything that you want to finish up with?
No, I think we covered a fair bit. I feel like I've spoken too much of anything. So yeah, I appreciate you getting me on the podcast, and hopefully something that I've said will help someone. If I've added value to one person, I think this has been more than worthwhile. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No dramas. All the best with the award. You've got my vote, and I'll see you there. I'll be all over Filex, so we'll catch up there.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Awesome. All right, Brad. Thank you for your time.
See you, mate.